Her male best friend mocked me at my own house. She's better off without you. When I shut him down in front of everyone, she snapped, "Apologize or we're over." I smiled, "Over it is, sweetheart." They both stood there completely unaware of what was about to happen next. That night, her so-called best friend disrespected me, right in my own house. The house I built and paid for, our home. He leaned back on my couch like he owned the place, a glass of my wine in his hand, and said, "You're just her ATM, man. Lena deserves someone better." The room went silent. People stared, waiting for me to explode. Instead, I stood up, looked him dead in the eyes, and said quietly, "Get out of my house." He laughed, thinking I was bluffing. But when I opened the door and pointed outside, the smile on his face died fast. Then Lena, the woman I'd paid tuition for, the one living under my roof, said it. "Mark, apologize to Jake. Right now. Or we're over." That's when it hit me. It wasn't love anymore, just entitlement. I realized it wasn't love anymore, it was entitlement. So I smiled and told her, "Over it is, sweetheart." They thought I'd lost everything. But they were the ones who did. I met Lena 3 years ago, back when life was quieter. I was 30, a working architect already buried in deadlines and blueprints, and she was 20, a college sophomore who worked part-time at a small cafe near my office. She was cheerful, the kind of person who made coffee breaks feel better. One rainy evening, she forgot her umbrella and I offered her a ride home. That's how it started. Lena wasn't from money. Her parents lived in another town, her father a mechanic, her mother a clerk at a grocery store. She was proud but struggling, juggling tuition, rent, and part-time shifts that barely covered groceries. I admired that. She didn't complain, just pushed through. When we started dating, I didn't mind helping her out. Paying for meals, textbooks, or her rent once in a while, it felt natural. I had more than enough, and helping her felt right. A year later, I offered her to move in. She hesitated at first, said she didn't want to feel like a burden. But when her landlord raised the rent and she couldn't keep up, she accepted. I told her she didn't owe me anything. "Just focus on your studies," I said. "I'll handle the rest." And for a while it was good. We had quiet mornings, movie nights, and laughter. Then Jake showed up. He was her friend from college, as she called him. I remember the first time he came over. Sneakers muddy, guitar slung over his shoulder, acting like he owned the place. "Nice setup," he said, looking around. "Must be nice having money." I laughed it off. But there was something about his tone that stuck with me. Over time, Jake started hanging around more. Group projects, movie nights, study sessions that somehow always ended with pizza and beer I paid for. He'd make little comments about me being too serious, too organized, too boring. At first, Lena would defend me, but slowly the tone changed. She started dressing differently, flashier, trendier. Shopping bags appeared on weekends. New phone, new clothes, new attitude. When I asked her about the expenses, she said, "I'm just enjoying life a little. Jake says I should while I'm still young." Jake says. That phrase became a trigger. I noticed how she started scrolling through social media influencers, comparing herself to girls showing off trips, handbags, and champagne brunches. Suddenly my help wasn't generosity anymore. It was control. She began saying things like, "You always want to pay for everything because it makes you feel powerful." Or, "You think I can't survive without you." The irony was painful, because I never wanted her to depend on me. I wanted her to succeed, to grow. But Jake kept feeding her poison, whispering that I was just another rich man trying to own her. I could feel the shift. She stopped saying, "Thank you." Stopped cooking on weekends. Stopped asking how my day was. One night she came home late, reeking of cheap wine and excuses. "We were just hanging out after class," she said. "Don't be controlling." I didn't argue. I just looked at her, realizing the girl I'd met in that cafe was slowly disappearing. Still I stayed. Maybe out of love, maybe out of hope that she'd wake up and see who was really using her. Then came the night of my promotion. I invited a few close friends for dinner. A small celebration, just laughter, food, and music. Lena insisted Jake should come too. "He's part of my life," she said. I agreed. I shouldn't have, because that was the night everything snapped. The night Jake crossed the line, and Lena showed me exactly where her loyalty truly stood. And from that moment on, I knew this wasn't going to be a breakup. It was going to be a reckoning, The night of the promotion dinner was supposed to be simple. A few colleagues, some friends, a quiet celebration. Nothing extravagant, just good food, good wine, and laughter echoing off the walls I'd designed myself. Lena had spent the afternoon setting the table. She looked beautiful, radiant even, like the girl I'd first met. For a moment I almost believed things were back to normal. Then Jake showed up. He was late as usual. The doorbell rang halfway through appetizers. He walked in wearing that same careless grin, a cheap leather jacket thrown over his shoulder, and a bottle of wine dangling from his hand like a trophy. "Hope you don't mind," he said, brushing past me. "Thought I'd bring something nice to celebrate." It wasn't nice. It was the cheapest thing he could have found, but I didn't say a word. I just smiled politely and closed the door. The evening moved on. I poured drinks, people chatted. Music played low in the background. Jake, of course, dominated every conversation, turning small talk into little jabs. "Man, Mark," he said, clinking his glass, "you really went all out for this place. Guess it helps when your girlfriend doesn't have to pay rent, huh?" Laughter, nervous, awkward. Lena tried to laugh too, though her eyes darted to me, checking my reaction. I just nodded, calm. "Guess it does," I said, and turned to refill someone's glass. But Jake wasn't done. As the night went on, his jokes turned sharper. "I mean, seriously," he continued, voice slurred slightly from the wine I'd bought. "It must be exhausting carrying someone else's life on your back all the time. You ever worry she's just with you for the money?" The air went cold. Lena stiffened beside him. "Jake, stop," she whispered, but not loud enough to sound convincing. I looked at him for a long moment, not angry, not hurt, just finished. Then I said quietly, "Get out of my house." He blinked, then laughed. "Come on, man." "I was just joking." "I'm not." I took a step closer, eyes locked on his. "You don't walk into my home, insult me, and drink my wine. Doors behind you." The smirk disappeared. He looked at Lena, expecting backup, and he got it. "Mark," she snapped, standing up. "You're being ridiculous." "He didn't mean it that way." "You're embarrassing me." "He embarrassed himself," I said evenly. "And he's leaving." She crossed her arms, voice sharp now. "Oh, you apologize to Jake right now, or we're over." I stared at her. This woman who'd slept under my roof, studied on a laptop I'd bought, eaten meals I'd cooked, and all I felt was clarity. Slowly, I nodded. "Then we're over." The room went silent. A few guests shifted uncomfortably. Someone tried to speak. I raised a hand, stopping them. Jake muttered something under his breath, but I didn't hear it. I was already opening the door. "Out," I said again quietly. "Both of you." Lena's mouth fell open. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." She hesitated, torn between pride and panic. Jake tugged her arm. "Let's go. We don't need this." They walked out. Jake still trying to act smug, Lena still trying to act strong. The door clicked shut behind them. I didn't shout, didn't throw anything. So I just stood there for a while. The laughter from earlier now an echo in a house that suddenly felt too large, too quiet. People left soon after, offering awkward goodbyes. I didn't explain. I didn't have to. When the last guest was gone, I poured myself a drink and looked around at everything I'd built. Every wall, every piece of furniture, every detail made from my effort. And I realized something. They hadn't disrespected me that night. They disrespected the life I'd given them. And tomorrow morning I'd start taking it all back. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry. Anger fades fast. But because I was thinking. The more I thought, the clearer everything became. For months I'd ignored the signs. The new clothes, the endless study sessions. The phone calls she'd silence when I walked in. I'd told myself people change. I just never thought she'd change into someone who'd let another man humiliate me in my own home. By sunrise, I was done pretending. When I left for work, I didn't take much, just my laptop and a folder. On my way out, I looked back. Everything in that house had my name on it, all mine. That evening, around 7, my phone buzzed. Lena. At first, I ignored it. Then the calls kept coming. Eventually, I picked up. "Mark, please," she started, her voice small. Jake was drunk. He didn't mean it. "Can we talk?" I didn't raise my voice. "There's nothing to talk about, please. I didn't mean what I said last night. You know how I get when I'm stressed." I almost laughed. Stressed. That word had become her shield for everything. "Lena," I said calmly, Do you know how much money I've spent on you since we met?" She went quiet. "Mark, don't... No, you should hear it." I opened the folder on my desk. I'd printed everything. Transfers, receipts, tuition payments, rent, utilities. $18,000 in tuition. $2,400 in books and supplies. $900 a month for food, gas, and your personal expenses. $1,200 for that laptop. You remember that, right?" Her breathing hitched. "Mark, you're making it sound like I bought you." I cut in. "No, I invested in someone I thought cared. I didn't ask for repayment. I asked for respect. And last night you made it clear I'll never get that. I didn't want to embarrass Jake." I laughed quietly. "But you were fine embarrassing me." She said nothing. "Lena, this isn't revenge," I continued. "This is closure. That night I logged into the accounts and made the changes. I cancelled the credit card in her name, froze the shared checking account, stopped the automatic tuition payments. I contacted the leasing office. The apartment was under my name, so I gave 30 days' notice. The car, registered and financed by me. I called the dealer that same night. By morning, everything was done. When Lena showed up, she was shaking with makeup smudged, phone in hand. "You can't just cut me off like this," she said. "I already did. You promised you'd help me finish school. I promised I'd help you while you were with me. You made your choice, remember?" Tears welled up, but I didn't move. Not an inch. "Jake's staying with his cousin," she whispered. "He doesn't have a place either. We just need time to figure things out." That actually made me smile. "Then I wish you both the best of luck." Her expression cracked, a mix of panic and disbelief. She'd expected anger, shouting, maybe even begging. But I wasn't the same man she'd played. "I never wanted your money," she said weakly. "Then you won't miss it." I closed the door. Slowly. Quietly. For the first time in a long while, the house was silent, but not empty. It finally felt mine again. That evening I poured myself a drink and looked through the window. Outside, Lena stood on the curb for a few minutes, clutching her phone, before Jake pulled up in a beat-up car. They argued. She slammed the door and he drove off. 2 weeks passed before I heard anything about them. The first call came from Lena's college. I'd been paying her tuition automatically through my bank account, and when the payment stopped, the school reached out to confirm a possible error. I told them there was no error. The account was closed. A month later, a mutual friend mentioned that Lena had dropped out. Couldn't pay the balance. She'd been working at a clothing store, splitting rent with 2 roommates she barely knew. Her Instagram, once full of travel plans and designer bags, went silent. I didn't block her. I didn't need to. People like that fade out on their own. As for Jake, the city's too small to stay hidden. Word got around that he'd borrowed money from a few people and never paid them back. Someone said he tried to sell his old guitar to cover rent. Eventually, he skipped town. Karma's quiet like that, slow and simple. Meanwhile, I went back to work. New projects, new contracts, and a promotion I actually had time to enjoy this time around. My life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. And that's worth more than anything. Every so often, I'd pass by that cafe where I'd first met Lena. The same warm lights, the same smell of coffee. A different girl stood behind the counter now, polite, kind, with that same bright energy Lena once had before everything changed. Sometimes I'd think about reaching out just to see how Lena was doing. Then I'd remember that last night, the way she'd looked at me, demanding I apologize to the man who insulted me, and the thought would vanish as quickly as it came, because that version of her, the girl I once knew, was gone long before the party ever started. One evening, about 6 months later, I came home to find a small envelope slipped under my door. No return address, just my name. Inside was a short note, written in handwriting I knew too well. "You were right. I'm sorry. L, no excuses. No explanations. Just 4 words. I sat there for a while holding the note. Then I folded it, placed it back in the envelope, and set it in the drawer of my desk. Not to keep, but to remind myself of something simple. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. That night, I opened a new bottle of wine, the same brand Jake had spilled at my party, and toasted the empty room, not to revenge, not to victory, to peace. Because sometimes the best ending isn't watching others fall. It's standing still while they do, and realizing you never needed them to rise. As the glass touched my lips, I glanced at the door where they'd once stood, shouting, accusing, demanding apologies, and I smiled. They thought I was just the guy with the money, the man they could drain and discard. But they forgot one thing. I was the one who built the house. And the man who builds it always knows where the switch is.